A billionaire caught his maid studying at 2 a.m. What he did next shocked everyone. She was just the maid, silent, invisible, cleaning up after a billionaire family. But when he caught her studying nursing textbooks at 2 a.m., instead of firing her, he changed her life forever. What happened next left everyone stunned. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel as a sign of support. It was just past 2 a.m. when Ryan Caldwell padded barefoot down the long hallway of his Lake Tahoe estate. He had trouble sleeping that night, the result of a late business call and too much coffee. His house was normally dark and quiet at this hour, save for the subtle hum of the security system. But tonight, a faint glow flickered under the door leading to the study. That light wasn't supposed to be on. Ryan, a self-made billionaire in his mid-40s, prided himself on knowing everything that happened in his home. It wasn't arrogance, just habit, formed from years of building a company from scratch. So when he saw light at that hour, curiosity mixed with a touch of annoyance pushed him to investigate. He twisted the doorknob gently and opened the door a crack. To his surprise, seated at the massive oak desk was not one of his assistants or relatives visiting for the weekend. It was Rosa Martinez, his live-in maid. The young woman, barely 20, sat hunched over a stack of textbooks, her notebook pages filled with scribbled equations and diagrams. She hadn't noticed him yet. Her headphones were in, and she was laser-focused on a dense chemistry textbook. Ryan stood frozen for a moment, watching her flip pages and furiously take notes. The room around her was dim except for the desk lamp, which cast a halo of light over her determined face. This wasn't someone slacking off or snooping. This was someone chasing something. He finally knocked gently on the doorframe. Rosa's head jerked up. "Oh, Mr. Caldwell, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be in here. I just needed a quiet place." Ryan raised a hand to calm her. "You're not in trouble," he said, stepping into the room. "But what are you doing up at this hour? And why are you studying chemistry?" Rosa's eyes darted to the floor. I'm trying to get into nursing school," she admitted quietly. "I clean during the day and study at night. There's no quiet in the staff quarters, and I thought you wouldn't notice." He walked over to the desk, glancing at her notes. They were neatly written, color-coded even, and the pages were filled with complex information. "You're really serious about this," he said. "Yes, sir. I want to become a nurse. It's been my dream since I was little." Ryan's mind drifted to his own late nights as a younger man, coding in rented offices, living on ramen and ambition. He'd never expected to find that same fire in someone cleaning his guest bathrooms. "Well," he said slowly, "you better finish up soon. You need sleep to retain all this." "Yes, Mr. Caldwell. I'm sorry again." But Ryan didn't leave right away. Instead, he turned back one last time. "Rosa, do you have an advisor? Anyone helping you with applications?" She shook her head. "Let's talk more in the morning," he said. "I might be able to help." Then he left her in the glow of the desk lamp, wondering if she'd just dreamed the entire exchange. The next morning, Rosa awoke groggy but determined. She had barely slept after her encounter with Mr. Caldwell. Her mind replayed his words over and over. "Let's talk more in the morning." She wasn't sure if he meant it or if it was just a polite way to end the conversation. Either way, she had work to do. She moved through her usual chores, dusting the grand piano, tidying up the guest rooms, and fluffing the pillows in the living room. All the while, her heart thumped with anxiety. She hadn't seen Ryan since their late-night conversation, and she wasn't sure if she wanted to see him. What if he regretted not scolding her? What if he changed his mind about helping? It wasn't until mid-morning, when she stepped into the kitchen to scrub the stovetop, that she found herself face-to-face with him again. "Rosa," Ryan said, looking unusually casual in jeans and a navy sweater. "Got a minute?" She froze, her gloved hands gripping the sponge. "Yes, sir." "Take off the gloves," he said, gesturing toward the breakfast table in the corner of the kitchen. "Sit down. Let's eat." She blinked. Eat? Never in her time working there had Ryan Caldwell invited her to share a meal. The cooks usually left meals for the staff in the back kitchen. Sitting at the same table as the man who owned 3 tech companies and flew in private jets felt like trespassing on another planet. Still, she peeled off her gloves, washed her hands, and sat awkwardly across from him. "Coffee?" he asked. "Yes, please." He poured her a cup himself. No assistant, no house manager, just him. "So," he began, sliding a plate of toast and eggs toward her. "Nursing school?" She nodded, hesitant. "I've been trying to save up for tuition. It's hard. But I found a few community college programs with bridge options. If I do well enough, I could transfer to a proper university." "Impressive," he said, sipping his coffee. "Who's helping you with the process?" "No one. I'm kind of figuring it out as I go. Reading blogs, watching videos, emailing schools." Ryan studied her for a long moment, then reached into the folder next to him on the table and pulled out a stack of printed documents. "These are application forms for 3 of the top programs in the state. I called in a favor, talked to a couple admissions officers this morning." Her eyes widened. "You did that for me?" "I don't like wasted potential," he said, "and you remind me of myself at your age. Resourceful, hungry, willing to hustle." Rosa swallowed the lump in her throat. She hadn't expected kindness, not from him. "There's more," Ryan said. "I want you to cut your hours here. You'll still get paid the same, but I want you to use the time to study. And starting next week, I've arranged for a tutor to come twice a week." She was speechless. "I told you last night, we'd talk more. I wasn't kidding." Tears welled in her eyes, but she blinked them away. "Thank you, Mr. Caldwell," she whispered. He gave her a half smile. "You'll thank me later, once you're saving lives." Word travels fast in a big house, even faster among the staff. By lunchtime, whispers had already spread like wildfire through the Caldwell estate. Rosa hadn't told anyone what happened over breakfast, but she didn't need to. It was enough that she had been seen sitting at the breakfast table with Mr. Caldwell, sipping coffee like they were old friends. That alone was enough to raise eyebrows. "Did you see Rosa with the boss this morning?" whispered Linda, the head housekeeper, as she folded linens in the laundry room. "She was eating with him," replied Marcus, one of the gardeners, "and he poured her coffee." "Himself?" "No way," Linda said. "He never even looks at us. He barely talks to the chefs." Rosa could feel the stares all day. Every time she walked into a room, conversation dipped to a hush. People pretended to be busy. Some of them were polite enough to smile, but most gave her that look, the one that says, "You don't belong there." By mid-afternoon, she had retreated to the supply room, pretending to inventory cleaning supplies just to get a few minutes of quiet. She didn't know how to feel. On one hand, Ryan Caldwell had offered her more than she could ever imagine: guidance, time, and financial support. On the other, her co-workers now saw her as something else: a threat, a pet project, a favorite. The knock on the door startled her. It was Kelsey, one of the newer maids and the only person on the staff close to Rosa's age. She stepped in and gently closed the door behind her. "You okay?" Kelsey asked softly. Rosa nodded, forcing a smile. "Yeah, just trying to get through the day." "I saw you with Mr. Caldwell this morning. People are talking." "I know," Rosa sighed. Kelsey paused, then said, "You didn't do anything wrong, you know. You've worked harder than anyone here. If he sees something in you, that's not your fault. That's his." Rosa blinked, surprised. She hadn't realized how badly she needed someone to say that. "Thanks, Kelsey." Kelsey shrugged. "So, what's going on? Are you really going to nursing school?" "I'm trying," Rosa said. "He's helping. I didn't ask for any of it, I swear." "You don't have to explain anything to me," Kelsey said, smiling. "Just promise me one thing." "What?" "When you're a big-shot nurse saving lives and writing books or whatever, don't forget about us little people." Rosa laughed for the first time that day. "Deal." That night, after the chores were finished, she went back to the study. The same desk, the same lamp. But now there was something new waiting for her. 3 envelopes with school logos printed on them and a handwritten note from Mr. Caldwell. "Here's where your next chapter starts. Choose wisely." For the first time in a long time, Rosa felt something shift inside her. Hope didn't seem so impossible anymore. The next few days moved like a whirlwind. Between adjusting to her new lighter workload and juggling intensive study sessions, Rosa barely had time to think. But Mr. Caldwell, Ryan, had kept his word. A private tutor named Mrs. Hadley, a sharp former college professor with thick glasses and a strict tone, began meeting with Rosa twice a week. She was tough but fair, and Rosa absorbed every bit of knowledge she could. Then one Thursday morning, Ryan called Rosa into his office. "Pack a nice outfit," he said casually from behind his massive desk. "You've got an interview." Rosa blinked. "What kind of interview?" "With the admissions panel at Sierra West Nursing School. I pulled a few strings. They agreed to meet you this Saturday." She stared at him, stunned. I'm not ready. What if they—" "Rosa," he interrupted, "you are more ready than you think. You've worked your tail off. They just want to meet the girl who studies chemistry at 2 in the morning after cleaning all day." Her heart pounded in her chest. "But I don't have anything to wear." Ryan reached into a drawer and pulled out a white envelope. "Go to Bentley's downtown. There's a stylist named Marcy waiting for you. She'll help you get something appropriate." Rosa's cheeks flushed. "Mr. Caldwell, this is too much." He shook his head. "No, what would be too much is letting someone with your drive fade into the background because of something as dumb as not having the right dress." She clutched the envelope in her hands, blinking away tears. That Saturday, Rosa stood nervously outside the admissions office at Sierra West Nursing School. Her hair was pulled into a sleek bun, and the navy blue dress hugged her modestly but confidently. Her hands trembled slightly as she stepped into the panel room, where 3 women and 1 man greeted her with polite, assessing smiles. The questions came fast. Why nursing? Why now? How would she handle the workload? What inspired her? She answered each one honestly. She talked about her mother, a CNA, who passed away when Rosa was 12. She talked about wanting to help people, about understanding the quiet suffering of patients, and about fighting every day just to earn the right to dream bigger. When they asked about her grades, she handed over her transcripts and the glowing recommendation letter Ryan had written himself. After 30 minutes, she stepped out of the building and felt like she'd just run a marathon. She wasn't sure how it went. Her stomach twisted in knots. But the moment she got into the car that Ryan had sent for her, her phone buzzed. One new message from Ryan Caldwell. "I know the feeling. First big pitch is always scary. Doesn't mean you didn't crush it." She smiled for the rest of the ride home. Back at the estate, she tucked her dress into the back of her closet like a treasure. She didn't know what the school would decide, but for the first time in her life, she felt like she had really stood in her own story. No matter what happened next, she wouldn't be the maid who studied at night anymore. She was something more. 2 weeks passed, and every day felt like a waiting game. Rosa threw herself back into studying, her tutoring sessions with Mrs. Hadley growing even more intense. Ryan stayed involved, asking about her progress and even quizzing her casually over breakfast. The two had developed an odd rhythm, a quiet friendship built on mutual respect, though Rosa never quite stopped addressing him as Mr. Caldwell. But beneath her motivation, doubt started creeping in. Every time the doorbell rang or her phone buzzed, her stomach twisted. What if she hadn't done enough in the interview? What if her background made them hesitate? She wasn't just fighting for a spot in school. She was fighting for a life that no one ever thought she deserved to have. Late one Thursday afternoon, Rosa was folding towels in the laundry room when Kelsey burst in, breathless and wide-eyed. "It's here," she whispered, holding up a thick envelope. "It's got the school's name on it. I found it in the front mailbox." Rosa's hand stopped moving. Her heart thundered. "Give it here." Kelsey placed the envelope into her hands like it was made of glass. Rosa stared at it for a long moment before slowly opening the seal. Inside was a letter, thick cardstock, printed in blue ink. Her eyes scanned the first line. "We are pleased to inform you." She didn't read the rest. She didn't need to. The first few words told her everything she needed to know. "I got in," she whispered. Kelsey screamed and threw her arms around her. "You got in!" They danced in circles, towels forgotten, both of them laughing like little kids. But beneath the excitement, Rosa's mind was racing. She had won the battle. But what came next? That night, she found Ryan in his home office. He was going over what looked like financial reports, but he stopped when he saw her. "Well?" he asked, sitting up straighter. "I got in," Rosa said, holding up the acceptance letter. A rare, full smile spread across Ryan's face. "I knew you would. I wanted to thank you For everything. I wouldn't have gotten this far without your help. You did the work, he said. I just opened a door. You were the one who walked through it. She nodded, then hesitated. But I don't know if I can really do this. It's going to be hard. The classes, the clinicals, the debt. What if I fail? Ryan leaned back in his chair, studying her like he was weighing every word. Rosa, he said quietly, every single person who's ever done something meaningful has felt like that. The fear doesn't go away. You just get better at moving forward anyway. He stood up and walked over to his desk. From a drawer, he pulled out a check and handed it to her. It was already signed. The amount left her speechless. Consider this a loan, he said. If you graduate and get that RN badge, you can pay me back. No interest. No pressure. Her hand shook as she took it. Why are you doing this for me? He looked her straight in the eye. Because someone once did it for me. And I promised myself I'd pay it forward someday. Tears welled in Rosa's eyes again, but this time they were tears of belief. She could do this, and now she would. The weeks following her acceptance felt like a roller coaster, thrilling, terrifying, and fast. Rosa's new schedule was relentless. She began taking evening prep classes at the local community center before her official start date. Her shifts at the Caldwell estate were reduced to part-time, but she still insisted on pulling her weight, vacuuming hallways, managing the laundry, and helping in the kitchen whenever she had downtime. She knew people were still talking behind her back. Some staff avoided her now. Others made offhand comments that stung more than she let on. Must be nice to get a handout, she overheard one day in the pantry. She's probably got him wrapped around her finger. She's a maid playing dress-up. Rosa kept her head down and focused on what mattered. But late at night, in the quiet of her small room off the servants' quarters, she sometimes let the doubt creep in. What if they were right? What if she was just lucky? One evening after a particularly grueling pharmacology prep session, Rosa returned to the estate to find the house in an unusual state of tension. The air felt charged, and voices echoed from the den. Kelsey rushed up to her. Mr. Caldwell's in a meeting with the board. Something big's going down. What kind of big? I think they're trying to vote him out. Rosa's stomach dropped. What? Apparently one of the other execs, Sloan, found out he gave a personal check to someone, and they think he's crossing boundaries, using company funds, even though it's not true. Rosa felt her blood go cold. This is my fault. Without thinking, she made her way toward the den. The door was slightly ajar, and she could hear raised voices. You can't use your position to funnel money into your personal projects, Ryan, a sharp voice snapped. I didn't, Ryan replied, calm but firm. The money came from my personal account. Even if it did, the optics look terrible. Giving thousands to a maid? What is she? Your charity case? Or something else? Rosa's breath caught. She felt her face flush with shame. Then came Ryan's voice again, louder this time. That young woman is working harder than anyone I've ever hired. She deserves the help, and I'll be damned if I let you punish her for my decision to give back. There was silence, then a mutter of disagreement, papers rustling, and footsteps approaching the door. Rosa darted back down the hallway before anyone could see her. Later that night, she found Ryan in the garden, sitting alone on the stone bench beneath the string lights. You okay? She asked gently. He looked up, tired but calm. I will be. Some of the board members want to stir up drama. They'll cool off. I heard what they said, she admitted. If I'm causing trouble, you're not, he interrupted. Let me be clear about that. I didn't help you so you'd be safe. I helped you because the world needs. 6 months later, the Caldwell estate felt like an entirely different place. Rosa still lived there part-time, but now her world stretched far beyond the mansion's walls. She was knee-deep in nursing school, pulling long nights at the hospital's training wing, and early mornings in classrooms filled with students from all walks of life. She wasn't the maid anymore. She was Rosa Morales, nursing student, and she wore that title like armor. She came home to the estate only on weekends now, just to help out, rest, and recharge. Ryan had insisted she use the guest suite upstairs instead of the servants' quarters, and after several awkward refusals, she had finally given in. He even made sure the room had a full bookshelf stocked with medical texts, a desk by the window, and a French press for late-night coffee. It was the night of her first clinical exam when everything changed again. She had just returned home, exhausted but exhilarated. Her patient, an elderly woman recovering from surgery, had grabbed her hand and whispered, "You're going to be a wonderful nurse." That single sentence had made all the blood, sweat, and caffeine-fueled nights feel worth it. She stepped into the Caldwell house, expecting quiet. Instead, she was greeted with the scent of Italian food and the sound of soft jazz. The dining room was lit with candles. A small cake sat in the center of the table, decorated in white frosting with the words, "Congratulations, Rosa." Ryan appeared from the kitchen in rolled-up sleeves and a crooked smile. "You passed, didn't you?" She blinked. "How do you know?" He pointed to her expression. "You've got that look people get when they realize they're doing what they were meant to do." She laughed, covering her face. "You didn't have to do all this." "Yeah," he said, "but I wanted to." They sat, they ate, and for a moment, everything felt simple. No wealthy employer, no former maid, just two people who had weathered a storm together. Halfway through dessert, Rosa looked across the table. "I've been thinking," she said, "when I graduate, I want to start a scholarship. For girls like me, one who clean houses by day and dream big at night." Ryan leaned back in his chair, impressed. "You're already thinking about giving back?" "I have to. You paid it forward for me. I want to keep the chain going." He nodded slowly, a hint of pride in his eyes. "Then when the time comes, I'll match whatever you raise." She raised an eyebrow. "You're making a lot of promises tonight, Mr. Caldwell." "Call me Ryan," he said with a smile, "and I don't make promises I can't keep." They clinked glasses over slices of cake, one billionaire and one former maid. The odds had been against her from the start, but Rosa had turned her quiet grit into momentum and her dreams into something visible. She'd been caught studying at 2 a.m. by a man who could have fired her. Instead, he'd changed her life, and now she was on her way to changing the lives of others. Not because she'd been given a chance, but because she had earned it. Rosa's journey from housemaid to nursing student proves that determination, kindness, and the right opportunity can rewrite a person's entire story. What started as a quiet moment of studying at 2 a.m. became the spark that changed not just her future, but inspired others to believe in their own potential. With one act of belief, Ryan didn't just invest in Rosa. He helped launch a ripple effect of empowerment and purpose. Never underestimate your own potential or the power of helping someone else reach theirs. Whether you're chasing your dreams or in a position to support someone else's, be the turning point. Share Rosa's story to inspire others, and remember, every great future begins with a single bold step.